Hey, what's up, my fearless networking friends? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. I think this subject matter is probably a big one for a lot of people in the network marketing profession, which is revolving around prospecting confidence, right? A lot of people are lacking prospecting confidence, and ultimately what you want to do is, I think you want to get to a point where you'll talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time without hesitation. Like, no prospect is too big. No prospect is scary for me. I'll talk to anybody, anywhere, at any time. That's ultimately, I think, where you want to be, right? So what do you do if you're lacking in prospecting confidence? So let me, I don't know who's plugging in here, new, been around for a little while, followed me for a period of time. I can tell you this, when I started my journey a couple weeks ago, 34 years ago at this point, I had no confidence, okay? No prospecting confidence, no self-confidence relative to this profession. My jobs up until that point were Jack in the Box, McDonald's, parking cars at Kelly's restaurant, and selling cable TV door to door. That was my life experience in business. Found myself involved in network marketing, saw it, loved the concept of it, thought it was brilliant, and began to pursue that journey of building a business in network marketing. Very nervous, very scared, very worried about how other people would respond to me, which is actually interesting because I had no friends, relatives, people, friends of friends that had tried network marketing or knew, I had zero network marketing knowledge or experience prior to my very first involvement. So even a person, me in this case, prior to or getting involved in network marketing, I still had concerns about how people would respond to me, not about network marketing, like, oh, how are they going to respond? So it was different than somebody who has like an opinion or thought about network marketing. I had a pretty clean slate blueprint when it came to the network marketing profession, but it was more about me. Like, why would somebody follow me? Like, I'm this, kid who's never made any money. Why would anybody follow me? So I dealt with that insecurity, and I was able to work through that insecurity as well. So the question is, so what do you do if you're lacking in prospecting confidence? And how do you become confident in prospecting? Okay? So I'm going to be as clear, as simple, and as straightforward as I can with you in this episode. And I would really strongly encourage you that you don't take what I say lightly if you're lacking in prospecting confidence. I don't know exactly how to express that any further than that. So if you're in a position where you're like, hey, I don't have a lot of confidence related to prospecting, which you need to have because it's the one thing that we do that makes us money in this business, that you would take my advice and you would actually act upon it, okay? That's all I'm going to say. And then, the ball's in your court as to, whether you decide to do it or not. But I don't do these episodes, these videos, these podcasts for my own entertainment purposes. This is to genuinely help you out. And this is the perspective I'm giving you in terms of like improving your confidence related to prospecting in this business comes from my personal lack of confidence and then gaining that confidence over time. So I would hope that you would do something about it. So enough said on that. So, okay, if I'm lacking in prospecting confidence, okay, what can I then do? Okay, well, I can do it even though I'm not good at it. Because if I avoid it and I just continue to run away from the problem, I can't address the problem. So, and I realize it's scary. It's, you're like facing your insecurities, your nerves, your not knowing, your whatever feelings that you have. But you cannot, and I've said this multiple times, you can't get good at things that you never do. So when we think about things that we're good at something. If we're good at something, we don't avoid it, right? Because we're good at it. Why would we avoid something that we're good at? So, okay, one way to improve your confidence. This isn't the only thing, but this is the first step. Is I have to make a move. I have to take a step forward. I have to actually do it, and it's going to give me the life opportunities. It's going to give me the experiences that are going to enable me to learn from those experiences. So if I did something good, I can repeat it. If I didn't do something good, I'm like, that didn't work out so well, I'm not going to say that or do that again. So it gives you those learning, those growth opportunities, those experiential learning opportunities that will certainly help you and aid in the development of your self-confidence related to prospecting. Number 2 is, okay, well, I can, and this is something, unless this is your first video or audio from me, you've heard me say this on a number of different subject matters related to creating success in network marketing, is if I'm going to get good at something, I need to practice that thing. If we never practice something, or we never rehearse something before we actually do it, how can we expect to be, delivering our very best when we actually do it? And this goes with anything. I mean, you played sports probably growing up. You went to practice before you played the game. Actors who are playing roles or parts in movies or TV shows, they rehearse the scene before they actually do the scene. So it prepares them for doing the scene. Make sense? Anything that we do in life, if we really want to get good at it and have confidence in it, and get rid of our lack of self-confidence, we need to do these things. So doing it, practicing it. I think another, certainly, I would say, I don't know, I guess it gives you I don't know if it's a false sense of security, but it gives you a level of security is having somebody to do it with. So if you are scared and you're lacking that confidence, if you just grab somebody on your team, your sponsor, sideline, friend, teammate, and you spend time doing it together, it tends to be easier than doing it alone. Because you've got that person, you've got that individual that's next to you, and it just, it just makes it a little bit easier. So if you've never actually spent some time doing it, I think it would be of high value to you in grabbing a person or a group of people where you can kind of do it together. So you can, you can feed off of each other. You can be supportive of one another. You can help a person past a bad prospect experience or a bad prospecting experience where if they did it by themselves, like think about this. If you were by yourself and you talked to somebody and the conversation didn't go as planned, and you felt bad about yourself after it was over, then you may be very hesitant to get back up and go make the next call. But if you're with somebody and they're like, oh, that guy was an idiot anyhow. I mean, did you really want him in your business? I mean, look how negative and mean and nasty he was. Do you want that kind of human being? Oh, no, I don't. Okay, well, let's go on to the next prospect. And it gives you like what I call a recovery anchor, right? So it gives you the opportunity to recover from that experience, and you have an anchor there that was based on that particular experience, that you had a person there to help you realize how silly it was that you would, take the rest of the day off because some, negative, pessimistic idiot that you happen to have a conversation with that you probably didn't want in your business to begin with. So that's another thing that you can do. I think it's very valuable to, again, be observant, be curious, be inquisitive. These are words that I use all the time when it comes to learning a craft. So if you wanted to learn anything and develop self-confidence around that thing, you would then pay attention to others who are good at that thing. So I remember very clearly at the age of 22, there was a guy in my office that was 27. He was successful, making money. I don't know what he was making, 12, 15 grand a month. I was making nothing, so he was making a lot more than me. And I was lacking in self-confidence. And this guy carried himself differently than I did. So I watched him. I observed him. I learned to try to replicate or copy, to emulate what he was doing, to be more like that person, to exhibit things and say or do things that he was doing. It was like I was kind of playing copycat, I guess, to some extent. I'm like, this guy makes money. I'm going to see if I can copy this guy, and if some of that's going to rub off on me in my business. And it did. Did I become an overnight success story? Of course I didn't. No. But I began to see progress. So that's another thing that you can do is pay attention to people that are better than you and listen and learn. In fact, some of you guys have heard this. Like the way I learned to close business effectively was I had a guy that I worked with that this guy Ed, and Ed was like, "Hey, you go out there and engage people in conversations, put them in front of the information. The ones that like what they see, bring them to me, and let me talk to them." So that's all I did is I would go out and pique somebody's interest, get them in front of some information, do a three-way call with Ed. And I learned from what Ed said to then be able to say the same things Ed was saying to my prospects in the future because Ed was successful. He was doing things differently than I was doing. He had more experience than me. And I was able to, again, learn. I was learning from that experience, right? So I already mentioned experiential learning with that, if you do something, you can learn from those experiences. This was an observational learning experience because as soon as I connected my prospect with Ed, I just shut up and I listened and I paid attention. What's Ed saying? What's he asking? How's he asking? What kind of questions is he asking? I would write those down. I would take notes. And over time, I was able to then implement some of the things that Ed was doing. So again, you want to have self-confidence related to prospecting because if you don't, you're going to be avoiding it. And it's the one thing that's going to really make the biggest difference in your network marketing career is you having confidence in engaging people in conversations, whether it's online or offline, about what it is that you do. And if you're unable to do that, you're going to be unable to succeed, okay? You can't win without prospecting. And you're going to win a lot more when you have, confidence and faith in your own prospecting abilities. Also, I would say understand that it's a journey that we're on. It's not overnight. You're a work in progress. We're always a work in progress. And to have, maybe adjust your expectations accordingly if necessary. You're not going to become an expert overnight in anything, okay? So having the expectations that all of a sudden you're going to have this amazing self-confidence about this new thing that you're doing in a matter of days is not realistic. But if you did something over and over and over again and you practiced it and you worked on it and you studied others and you read books on it, you attended events on it, and you got yourself in this position like I'm going to do everything in my power to learn how to get good at this, over time you're going to see improvements. Like today, I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 34 years ago when I began this journey because I've been on this growth, this growth journey for over 3 decades. So, not being, I guess, too down on yourself if like in 2 weeks you're not an expert. I mean, I'll tell you what was interesting. There was a guy I met one time on a golf course. Actually, I met him at a kid's soccer practice in Scottsdale. And, his kid was playing soccer. My kid was playing soccer. I'm like, hey, he was wearing a Seattle Seahawks hat. And I was like, I'm like, Seahawks? He's like, yeah, I'm from Washington. I'm like, cool, what do you do? He goes, I play golf. And I was like for a living? And he goes, yeah. And he was young. I think he was 27 at the time I met him. And I said, I go, PGA? He goes, yeah. I go, what's your name? He goes, Richard Lee. And I go, I was watching you on Saturday against Jordan Spieth. He goes, yeah, I blew up on Sunday. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I didn't see you on Sunday, but I was like, I was intrigued because here's this guy, 27, PGA Tour. There's only about 220 people a year that play on the PGA Tour. I mean, you have to be the best of the best. I mean, there's 91 million people on planet Earth that play golf, and to be one of the best 200 players on the planet is a pretty big accomplishment. I was like, so when did you start playing golf? And I'm thinking like 5, 4, 3, 2. And he said, I never picked up a club until I was 14. I go, how long have you been on tour? Like 3 years or something? So like he was on tour at the age of 24. I met him when he was 27. So from 14 to 20, so within 10 years, he went from never touching a golf club to being one of the best players on the planet. And I was like, well, how did you do it? Because I'd been playing golf at that time for probably 20, 25 years. And he said, practice. So he tells me, he goes, I just became obsessed with practice. I mean, I practiced all the time. Every moment, every second, I could be practicing in the bunker, if I could be practicing my driver, putts, chips, whatever. He always practiced. And that and I already knew the value of practice, but it was just kind of an interesting, okay, yeah, true. Absolutely true. So, that's something I've already obviously mentioned here, the concept of practicing your craft, working on your craft, role-playing, developing your skill sets, because if you're literally working on that thing, it's going to help you to develop that self-confidence in the future. Another thing that I'll say, and I've mentioned this to many audiences, I don't understand why, people that are eager to learn are given this piece of advice and some of them don't act on it. But the idea of actually getting, reviewing yourself, right? So you have the ability to record your conversations, whether it's you're messaging back and forth on Facebook or on text, or you're having a conversation with somebody. Like if you have a text thread, you can review that text thread and kind of recap it and go, what did I say in there that caused this person to turn off? Or what did I do here well that caused this person to turn on and be more interested? Same thing with a phone conversation. You can very likely pick up on things that you did or said that you can then change in the future, so that the next experience that you have is an even better experience. So that's another way of recapping or reviewing the quality of what you're doing, because the higher the quality, obviously the better your confidence is going to be related to that particular activity. So you can also, and this would be my advice to you, is let's say you recorded a conversation that you had with a prospect that perhaps didn't go as well as you'd like it to have gone. Okay, fine. Why don't you take that conversation to an expert, somebody that has many more years of experience than you in lots of confidence and results in their prospecting, and say, look, here's this conversation that I had with this guy. Can you give me some feedback on what I could have done differently? And there you go. There's another yet learning opportunity for you to then do something different in the future, so that your confidence increases related to prospecting. So I don't know. I just think it's really important that we become as good as we can be when it comes to that particular activity. There's other things, of course, we need to get good at in this business. It's not just prospecting, but a lot of people are lacking in prospecting confidence. And then if they're lacking in confidence, they don't do it. And you guys have heard me, this whole idea of confidence and competence, right? The more competent you are, the more skilled you are, the higher your confidence is going to be. Low competence, low confidence. So what can you do to increase your competence? That means your skill level, your ability to do it better. Because if you have a higher skill level related to that activity, your confidence is going to increase. They're directly related to one another. You've heard me say that before. So just think about that. Look, if you got to rewind, listen to this again, take notes, apply these things into your weekly efforts. Over time, you're going to see yourself becoming better, more confident, more skilled. And what will be interesting is 5 years from now, you'll look back and go, man, I used to suck at prospecting. I used to be afraid to talk to people. I used to be stuttering, sweaty, nervous. I was scared to death and would rather hide than go talk to somebody about my business. Now I've got no problem talking to anybody, anywhere, at any time. That's the place you want to be, okay? All right, if you're on my YouTube channel, what's up, YouTubers? Appreciate you guys. Leave a comment. If you are on my podcast, listen to me on audio, appreciate you as well. The details of this episode and other resources for you are right here at toddfalcone.com/episode 146. Again, toddfalcone.com/episode 146. Thanks for plugging in. We'll see you next time.